So is the Ottawa housing market going to crash? Are we going to see prices come down anytime soon? Is this all just a big bubble? These are some of the questions that I'm getting asked a lot lately by home buyers who are both feeling the squeeze after seeing prices in Ottawa shoot up over the last 2 years and wondering whether they should get into the housing market now or whether they should wait for prices to come down. Now, a lot of this talk about crashes and bubbles comes from the media. It seems like every couple weeks there's a new article that's published by one of the big media companies that talks about how, the prices in Ottawa are due for a correction, or rising interest rates are going to cause the market to crash, all of these things. A lot of this to me is clickbait. I have yet to read a well-researched article that presents some real hard facts outside of buzzwords that give us a good reason why the market would actually crash. I personally don't think we're going to see prices come down in a significant way anytime soon, and I'm going to tell you why. So first of all, it's important that we understand how housing prices work. It's really actually quite simple. It's just based on supply and demand. And right now in Ottawa, we have a supply shortage and we have a growing demand for housing, which naturally will cause prices to go up. A lot of these articles that you read that talk about crashes and bubbles, they actually treat the housing market in the same way that you would look at the stock market. So if ever you've looked at a stock chart for just about any stock, it's always kind of a zigzag, right? Whether it's going up or down, there are peaks and valleys. And it's only natural in stocks where when a stock goes way up, shoots up very quickly, there's almost always a pullback that follows. And so we like to liken this phenomenon to real estate. And we think, well, the prices have shot up over the last few years, so it's only natural that they would pull back. Only housing doesn't work like that. Again, housing is based on supply and demand. And so as long as we do not have enough supply to meet the demand, it's only natural that prices are going to continue pushing up. So I'm going to give you 3 quick stats to show why I think that the market will continue to rise in Ottawa. Stat number 1, there was a recent report that was published by the province of Ontario. So now this is not just for Ottawa, it's for all of Ontario. That report found that we would need to build 1.5 million homes in Ontario in order for the supply to be adequate for the current demand. To give you an idea, over the last 10 years in Ontario, we've built under 720,000 homes. So less than half of what would be needed to balance out the supply and demand. So you're going to tell me that over the next 10 years, we're going to more than double the production of homes in an environment where there are massive shortages on building materials and where there's pretty much always been shortages on skilled labor and skilled trades, right? And now we're going to try to double the production. So we're going to double the demand for materials and skilled trades. What do you think that's going to do to the price of those materials and trades? You're going to shoot up, right? Which is going to cause more pressure. The more it costs to build a home, the more it's going to cost to buy a home. So that's number 1. So stat number 2. There's a report in 2021, it's called a Housing Affordability Report, that found that not only is the average household income in Ottawa among the highest of any major Canadian city, believe it or not, the average household income in Ottawa is higher than it is in Toronto, it's higher than it is in Vancouver, Victoria, Mississauga, a number of these cities where housing prices are significantly higher than they are here. But that same report also found that people in Ottawa on average are spending about 19% of their household income on housing every month. That's less than half of what it is in a number of other larger markets. And I'm not just talking about Toronto and Vancouver, I'm talking about places like Windsor, Hamilton, and a number of other cities that, quite frankly, in my opinion, have less to offer than Ottawa does. So what does that mean? Well, to me, it says that housing prices in Ottawa actually still have a lot of room to go up, much less crash. Finally, I'm gonna leave you with one last thought. One of the conversations that I have anytime I meet a buyer who's just on the fence, they're not sure whether they should buy now or sit it out and wait and hope that the market calms down and then maybe they get a better deal if they time things just right. I always encourage them to consider the worst case scenario in either situation, right? So worst case scenario 1, you buy a house today and prices do come down and you realize that if you had just timed things a little bit better, you could have got a better deal. Now, I get that no one likes to feel like they overpaid, but Assuming that the housing market prices going down hasn't affected your job, you're still making the same amount of money, you're still gainfully employed, where does that ultimately leave you? You still have a home that you love, that you're presumably planning on spending a number of years in, and that you can still afford. Housing prices, even when they do come down, they do eventually bounce back. There's never been a 5-year period in the history of Ottawa where housing prices were lower at the end of year 5 than they were in year 1, right? So you end up maybe overpaying a little bit, but you still have a home that you love and that you can afford and that you plan on being in for a long time. In my opinion, still better than renting. Scenario number 2, you decide you're gonna sit it out. You're gonna wait, you're gonna hope that prices come down, and then you're gonna time things just right and be able to get a better deal. Only you're wrong, and prices never do come down. They continue to rise steadily, and as they rise, you get pushed down the property ladder. You go from maybe being able to buy a detached home, to a townhouse, to maybe a condo, to maybe an apartment, to maybe getting priced out of the market altogether. And so you end up in a position where now you can't buy a home. You're either forced to rent or move outside of Ottawa altogether to a city where housing's more affordable, but that maybe offers a little less than Ottawa does. Now, the answer for everybody's different. If your income is tied to the housing market, if you're worried that a housing market crash would cause you to lose your job, maybe you should sit it out. But otherwise, to me, the choice is clear. I think it's always better to buy real estate and wait than it is to wait to buy real estate. So I hope you found this video informative. If you have questions about the real estate market, if you want to talk about your specific scenario and get a sense of what might be right for you, I'm always happy to provide you with honest advice. If you have any other topics you'd like to see me cover in a future video, leave a comment, send me a private message. Again, I'm always happy to chat real estate. Hit me up, you know where to find me. I'm Serge Papineau, and I'll see you on the next one.